Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Frank, Friends with Veterans in Politics. Today we have Lisa Cole, Nevada Assembly District number 4. But before we get to Ms. Cole, Frank, you have any, thank you for coming on, by the way.
Hey, anytime, Steve. You know that.
You know, I wanna just reach out to Jim Jonas. He had an accident today, and I just want to wish him strength and recovery from that accident. So
Yes, sir.
I don't know what's going to happen with him yet, but I'm getting information as it comes in. But do you have any rants?
Yeah, guys, get out and vote. Get involved in the process. Early voting's already started. It ends Friday, and then you got a few other things. It's just like, don't sit there and complain that there are no solutions if you're not going to elect people who have solutions. If you're going to follow party politics and elect the same type of people, then you're going to get the same type of results. Change the environment, change the outcome. It's that simple. That's about it.
All right. Ms. Cole, how you doing today, man?
Fantastic.
Tell us about yourself. Do you like this? They said this was a little bit more
This is great.
quaint.
It's very comfortable.
Because we used to have a table and you're on that side over there and I'm on this side over here.
Yeah, no, this is better. This is more like chat worthy. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We're trying to figure out what works.
Okay. Yeah.
You think after 20 years you figure it out, but I guess it just doesn't happen that way.
There'll be a little bit of like tennis match here. Like,
Right.
I'll feel that way a little bit, but that's fine. It's all good.
So tell us about yourself.
Oh, goodness. So I am originally from Somerset, Pennsylvania. So tiny little town, about 5,000 people to the southeast of Pittsburgh, about 60 miles. Moved out here in 1998 all by myself. I got in my little Saturn car that I had bought. It was a stick shift. I had never driven a stick shift before. Bought it like 3 weeks before I moved out here. So I figured that out real quick. Drove out here by myself. I ran a warehouse for 4 years. Which was actually very cool. So I know logistics and all that kind of good stuff.
I got a funny story about a stick shift. You said that your first stick shift was driving across country.
Yeah, I mean, I learned it for a couple of weeks before I moved out here, but yeah, it taught me real quick.
My first stick shift and my only stick shift was in Okinawa, Japan.
Oh.
And you drive on the right instead of the left.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, so I had to learn how to do the stick shift with this hand. Well, it wouldn't matter to me because I never knew how to do a stick shift, so that was all brand new.
Right.
So I learned how to drive a stick shift in Okinawa, Japan. Bought a car. That's all they had was stick shifts.
Yeah.
Bought a car and I taught myself.
Wow, that's awesome. Same. Yep.
In a foreign country.
Yeah.
On the opposite side of the road.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Did they have the roundabouts where you had to go the other direction?
Oh, they had all kinds of craziness.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's insane.
But it was fun. But please, I just wanted to share.
Yeah. Well, I drove over the Hoover Dam. This was back in those days when the Hoover Dam, that was the only way to get over here from the east. Uh-huh. And it was at like 4:30 in the afternoon in January. So the sun is setting. It's all of these trucks, and I'm in this stick shift, and I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. So I thought I was going to die that day.
You by yourself?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I had me, my potted plant, and some clothes.
Your potted plant?
Yeah, my philodendron.
Did you name your plant?
I did not, no.
Okay.
No. I've never named plants. Maybe we should start. That could be fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Then what happened?
Yeah, so ran the warehouse for 4 years. They decided that they didn't want to run it anymore, and so I was looking for a job.
You rented a warehouse?
I ran a warehouse.
Oh, you ran a warehouse?
Manager,
Oh,
yes.
she's the boss.
I was the boss, yes.
Amazon wasn't around back then?
No. So, I mean, I could go into my bio like real deep, right? But so this was for a manufacturing company back in Somerset called Gilmore Manufacturing. And they don't exist anymore. They went to China and then they didn't exist after that.
I wonder what happened to them.
I know, right? Like whatever. But so I ran it for 4 years and they couldn't keep the inventory in there enough. So they shut it down and I started looking for a job in the newspaper, and circled my ads and ended up getting a job as the water resource manager for Apex Industrial Park. That was 2001. And I've been on the Apex project ever since. So I learned all of the ins and outs on groundwater rights, permitting, and helped to develop some wells, worked with hydrogeologists. My degree is in environmental science, so it worked out really, really well.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I did that. Then I learned all the ins and outs of development and utilities and all the kinds of stuff, land rights, all of the easements and the rights of way through Bureau of Land Management. I became a landman is basically what happened. Yeah, like there's an official term called a landman. That's what it was. So then in 2010, and I won't talk about that on camera, but in 2010, my now business
now
partner.
we need to talk about
I know, no, we're not going to talk about that.
That's what the people are here for, the juicy.
Yep. So in 2010, my business partner and I, we spun off a new company to do the rest of Apex Industrial Park, and that's when things really started to happen. We did a development agreement with the city of North Las Vegas. We negotiated an oversized water line for the city to bring up water, and that's when everything really started to kick off. And that was my first business that I started to own, right? So that was fun, and we still own that today. And 2019, I decided that at 45 years old, I should go to law school because it had always been a dream, and so I did that. It was a hybrid program in Minnesota, and I was supposed to go there for all of the in-person a couple times a semester. And it was great. It was fantastic. The first 2 times I went it was the fall of 2019.
Oh, okay.
2020, pandemic, everything else went to Zoom. And so
the summer of love.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so everything was on Zoom and everything, but I passed the bar in the first try. I graduated last year.
Congrats.
And so I've been an attorney ever since and just living the dream.
So you're licensed here in Nevada?
I am.
Do you work for a firm?
I created my own.
What's it called?
LDA Law.
Good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
You got clients?
Thank you. Most of the existing clients that I have on the land development side, I do legal work for them. So it just sort of a natural segue because I was helping them with stuff and working with their attorneys to get things across the finish line. And oftentimes that creates a delay. And then sometimes like the attorneys don't understand really what you're trying to accomplish. And so I just cut out the middleman.
So do you work for the county or the city?
My own company.
I mean, as far as buffers and all that stuff.
Right. So we end up having to work with all the municipalities and the jurisdictions. So Clark County and City of North Las Vegas out at Apex. We've got a client with a project in El Dorado Valley, so City of Henderson and Boulder City implications there. And then we've got a client who owns property up in Lyon County. So if you've heard of Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, that's over Story County. We're in Lyon County, just to the side.
So you've been here since 98?
1998.
So what do you think of the city? How has it grown since 98 until now for you?
Oh, goodness gracious. I mean, so we were talking about like places that we had lived, right? When I first moved to town, I lived in an apartment complex that had just been built out at 11,000 Southeastern Avenue. This was before Anthem. This was before Seven Hills. Those were all like just construction sites or just private property.
Right.
And so everything has changed on that side. And Eastern it's a mess down there. I hate driving over there. There's so much traffic.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So why did you get involved in politics now?
It's a good question. So I got a call in, I'd say.
You got a call?
I got a call.
Wow.
I know.
Who called you?
You do me a favor?
Yeah, technically it was a text message, but yeah.
It was a text message?
It was a text message, yes.
Not even a call?
No. It's like, and
People
then it
don't
went
call
into a
anymore,
call.
Steve.
That's true.
Yeah, we'll text
That's
you and be
true.
like, hey, I need to call you. Or
Yeah.
they'll just text you what they got to text you.
Yeah.
That's
And
how
then
it works.
Yeah. And then
Get
it
with
turned,
the times.
Yeah. And now it's like Zoom calls and everything, right? Like if you're going to do anything, but.
Okay, so you got a text.
Yeah, so I got a text message from somebody on the governor's team saying, like, listen, we want to endorse somebody in Assembly District 4. We know you live in the district from a fancy Google search is what I call it. Because there was an article that I was in the paper last year on some work I'm doing with Cortez Masto to fix Bureau of Land Management issues out at Apex. So they had pulled that up and they're like, hey, would you be interested in running for office? Because we want to endorse somebody and we would like to see if you'd be willing to do that. And so I had a meeting with Mike Slanker and Ryan Irwin and everything. And so they were like, okay, let's talk to the governor. And here I am.
So they put you in the race?
Yes.
They should pay you to go in the race. I mean, you shouldn't be paying them. I don't know. You paying them as a consultant?
There's a little bit of money going their way, yeah.
You just said, if you want me in this race, you need to pay me to come in this race.
I know, right?
They need to pull me at the door, Steve.
Yeah.
They got to.
Yeah.
So you said you're a lawyer as well.
Yes.
So I don't know if you've noticed, but like not just people in your district, but a lot of people are worried about education right now. And you have policies like 616 that allows 6161 that allows librarians to keep pornographic material exposed to children inside the libraries. And you also have a policy that's 5138 that allows transitioning of children under the age of 18 who can't even make a decision on getting a permanent tattoo. Would these be some things you would help your constituents go after? Some things you would maybe make a promise to that, hey, we'll help you guys, and I know some lawyerese, so I can find out what the wording needs to be to kind of flip these policies where they need to go back to a more righteous side of it. Mm-hmm. Is that something you could talk about a little bit towards your constituents?
So the numbers that you're talking, the 6161, like is that an agency rule,
it's
or is that
as far as I know,
like a Clark County or
I believe it's a Clark County school district kind of rule thing, but I think they also have. We're the only place that did not overturn some of this transgender stuff. Lombardo would not veto it, so he's still allowing it to occur at this time, even though we have studies from like WPATH, who just dropped a 15-year study that if you leave transgender kids alone, they just turn into gay adults when, the puberty's over with. If they do it all. And their suicide rate doesn't increase to 40%. So he didn't veto that, and the schools are still allowing it.
So there was a bill that was brought in the session?
Yeah.
Okay. And it was passed all the way through?
As far as I know, he just didn't do anything about it, and it's already been something they passed like a while back. Okay. And he could have done something, and he chose not to make a move on that specific problem.
So in general, on the whole transgender issue, and in schools, especially elementary level and middle school level, it doesn't make any sense to me to have materials that are available to kids. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense for that to be there. The dynamics of the legislature as it sits today, with them being in a super majority in the Senate, this is right now in the Assembly, and then in the Senate, they're one seat away. I know that limits the governor on what he can do. And then like just getting things through committee is impossible. So I'm sure that was hamstringing, because there's a lot of policies that he wanted to get in that he couldn't. But on these specific, I don't know. But it's something that I would be interested. Yeah, it'd be something that I would definitely be interested in reading the current laws, what other states have been doing, and what those statistics are, and studies and whatnot.
Well, a lot of the books have been removed in about 15 other states just because they are depictions of incest, sexual intercourse with minors, and there's images that also go with it. So it's not just a paragraph depiction. There's graphic depiction of the events occurring too. Yeah. And you can get this all the way from elementary school all the way up to high school.
I think I was in 4th grade when we had to do sex ed, right? And I remember, like, you had to get your parents' permission. It was like a slip that they had to sign that I'm willing. It was like 4th grade.
We were in 8th and 9th.
Yeah, it was. I remember it was 4th grade, but it was sex ed. Like, it was not anything like that. It was just like, this is a man, this is a woman, this is how a baby is made. And, when you were old enough, you as a woman are going to have your period, like that kind of stuff. It was like the basics.
So it was more of anatomy than it was
part of the health class.
Then it was a kink education.
Yes, it was part of the health class, and that's all it was. But like, these are the kind of conversations that I've heard very conservative people say, like, if you give an inch, they take a mile, right? And so I wonder if my parents had those thoughts and those conversations amongst themselves when they were choosing to sign that sheet. It's like, I really wish they weren't doing this. What's it going to lead to? Mm-hmm. And then the question is, what happens in 20, 30 years? Mm-hmm. What are they going to be teaching? Well, if this is their inch, like, what's the next one?
They're already teaching kink education, so I mean,
but it could still be worse.
It could get worse.
It could still get worse. So we have to hold the line, and then we have to pull it back.
Okay. Do you have any bills BDRs that you want to bring forth?
I knew you would ask me that question. Yeah,
it's a good question.
It is a good question. I'm going to be honest. I have my eye on the prize, right, of winning in the campaign strategy and everything else, but as I'm meeting with people and learning, especially on sides like healthcare and different things that my business doesn't touch very much, I'm taking notes. I'm listening. I'm trying to make thoughtful considerations, I guess, of what I could possibly do and ways I can help. One thing that I've heard from not just one or two or three industries, but like everybody's talking about this, is AB 398, which was nobody thought anything of this bill, right? It was heard right after the med mal stuff in the same hearing, which I think was 404. And so like there wasn't any opposition, there wasn't any testimony, there was nothing, and the bill just passed. This thing has really caused a massive issue for insurance policies. So there are insurance companies that are pulled out already from Nevada who will be pulling out more, and they're charging more and more premiums for people. Like I know that my son's insurance rate, and he's 23, almost 24, his rate has gone up $50 a month.
Oh, yeah.
And so like this is happening. You have people who are like construction industry or mining industry who have fleets of vehicles. Their premiums are going up. Directors and officers, errors and omissions, like all of these insurance policies are just going to eat people alive. So we need to do something about that. I mean, I don't know if you can just delete, like that which has been inserted is now deleted. That would be my BDR. But
Do you have any solutions for that?
yeah, like literally delete what they inserted. Like
Just get rid of it completely.
get rid of that entire paragraph. Like this was probably the shortest bill that they passed. Like it was literally one paragraph on one sheet of paper that they inserted.
That's new. It's usually like thousands of paperwork.
It's usually 500 pages. They give it to you 2 hours before you got to pass it. And they're like, good luck.
Right. And I think that's why it seemed like a nothing burger. Like nobody really understood what it was going to do. There was one letter in the record that I found that was in opposition from, I think it was an association of like insurance companies.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, listen, this is going to cause a massive problem. You are the only state in the country that is going to do this, and you shouldn't do it. But nobody paid attention. So anyway, so I would say that that's on my list of something to fix. And I think it was AB 220. I'm pretty sure that was it. That has to do with septic systems, which seems like a really shitty thing to talk about. Am I allowed to say that online?
Pun intended.
Okay, yeah, exactly. And it created this, it's a whole long bill, but there's a portion of it that has to do with people like me who are on a septic system. So we have city water, but we're on a septic system. So there's no return flow credits that go back to the lake, right? And so they created through this bill a voluntary program where they're asking me to voluntarily contribute up to, I think, $225 a year for however long, so that eventually, maybe possibly when they force me to connect to the sewer system, that could cost me $40,000 to connect, as much as $40,000. They might be able to give me some money towards it. But if I don't start paying the $250 now, then I'm not eligible for any help later on.
What you're saying is they're telling you, let us screw you a little now so we can screw you a little more later, but not
maybe
as hard as we would have if you didn't let us start in the beginning.
Or it could be exactly the same, yeah. But if you don't sign on to their voluntary program, then you're punished. And so I filled out my little form and I put on the bottom there and I said, hey, you know what? I'm interested in learning about this, and sure, maybe I'll pay this, but your definition of voluntary seems a little bit different than mine.
I'm on septic as well.
Okay.
But I'm also on well.
Okay. So you're probably not going to get the same letter.
So my thing is that it's my water, and you want me to contribute my wastewater to your reservoir, you should pay me for my water, because it's not your water I'm using, it's my water I'm using.
Yeah.
So you want my water to go in your reservoir, right, in Lake Mead?
Yeah. You
should pay for 100% for this hookup from septic to sewer, right? And that's how it's supposed to go. I mean, it's well water. This is extra water that's didn't come from you. It came from me.
It came from God.
No, well, yeah, it came from God, but what I'm saying, it's not Lake Mead recyclable water. It's well water that you never had. And if I give you my used well water, I should get paid for it. Or even if you don't want to pay me for it, at least I should have 100%. You should pay 100% hookup for my septic to the sewer.
Yeah, I totally don't disagree with you.
Right?
I think what will end up happening more than likely is that you'll get a letter saying, not only will you have to connect, but you'll also have to plug your well.
Have to do what?
Plug your well and connect to city water.
Plug my well. Oh, hell no, I ain't plugging my well. That was one of the reasons why I moved where I moved, because of the well water.
You know what that is? That's that famous old statement, hey, I'm from the government, I'm here to help.
No, I would.
It's very similar to that.
I would not plug my well without a very, very extreme, heavy-handed legal action.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. That's why, like, everybody has to read the documents. They have to look at their permits for their well, and they have to do all of that. Like, when people buy, and here's this landman thing, right? So when people buy a residential property, you get a title report, but most people don't look at it, and they don't look at what's called the exceptions to the title report. So these are all the recorded documents that you're going to be subject to. And a lot of those, if the house has been built in my area, so this rural area, after, say, 2007 timeframe, maybe a little before, they're going to have what's called a restrictive covenant, where it says if the sewer line comes within 440 feet of your property line, you have to connect. Period. End of story. So those things can be on your title, and you could be screwed, and you don't even realize it. Because, like, in a commercial transaction, you will look at all those exceptions and really understand it, and you'll have a lawyer involved in looking at it. But on the residential side, that doesn't usually happen.
But shouldn't they give some type of incentive to people that have a septic?
I think that's another way to go. I think it's a smarter way to go. I think you actually get voluntary cooperation, true voluntary cooperation, right? Yeah, right. And that's where, like, for me, the top-down mandates that come from government, usually they're not going to be effective because they haven't involved all the stakeholders that they should. They haven't thought about how things are going to actually flesh out in the real life, right? And so, to me, creating incentives is a much better way to go. And you'll actually have somebody who not only does it willingly, but tells their neighbors, hey, this is a great idea.
What are your boundary lines for your assembly district?
Oh, it's a good question. Usually I have a map with me, but so the 215, where the Ann Road curve is, do you know what I'm talking about? So that's generally my northwest boundary. I go a little bit beyond 215, and then down to Alexander, Lone Mountain, and then I kind of go across 95 and snake down into North Las Vegas. So my far eastern boundary is Simmons for like a block.
So how far are you from 13?
I border 13.
So you border 13?
Yeah. So
I'm in 13.
Okay, so you got Brian Hibbets, great guy, love him to death.
I wouldn't go all that much out on it.
Okay, well.
She just likes him a little more than you do. That's
I like
all.
him. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's
I
a
think
good
she
guy.
might be my district. Now that you said Simmons, that's where I live.
Okay, so it's good
You
Lord.
go
Well, when you
Simmons.
had your ballot, was she? Oh, you're not on the
I'm
ballot.
not
You're
on
not
the
about-
primary, man. I like opened that thing up and I was so excited to see my name, and I'm like, I'm not on there.
Yeah.
But whatever, it's fine.
No, I don't
It's
think
fine.
any of the assembly districts are.
So the assembly districts are if you have a primary. And so I don't have a primary. So yeah, and my opponent didn't have a primary either on the Democrat side. So neither one of us was on the ballot.
So
But
it's basically you versus a Democrat right now?
yes. Yep. So we basically went straight to the general
So
as a
Are there any policies you've seen them enforce that kind of negatively affect the people of this district?
So when you say them, are you talking about what my opponent might be doing, or just like
yeah,
the
what your
Democrats?
opponent has done. They've been there for 4
General.
years, haven't they?
No, this gentleman is new too. So this is an open seat.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a 2-year seat.
Yeah, it's
It's
a 2-year seat, and it's
Okay.
an open seat. So this was MacArthur's district, and I know he's making a run for the Senate, and so
Okay.
it's an open
So he
seat.
vacated.
And then have you heard anything from your opponent about what they would and wouldn't do that you would caution the voters against?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us about it? I mean, the voters want to hear, your side of it
Yeah.
and your solutions. Because Steve knows this. I'm tired of politicians coming up here. Not saying that you are one,
I got you.
but it's problem after problem after problem. And then when you ask them a solution, they're like, "Well, I got to reach out to the thing and talk to the people behind the mask and open the curtain for the Wizard of Oz and go down the yellow brick road." And I might get there. And if not, you can vote for me again in 2 years. So,
Right.
like, what are some of the things you see
Yeah.
that they say they're going to run on that are bad, and that you wouldn't allow your constituents to suffer through?
Right. So, there are people who will say one thing and do another. And I feel like what I've seen thus far and what I've heard from the people he's spoken to, I've never met the man ever. I was supposed to meet him the day that we were going to do the interview, but he didn't show up. Ryan Hampton.
Okay.
Yeah, so he didn't come. But my understanding is that he tells people that he's interested in economic development, and he's a very moderate person, and he's pro law enforcement. But if you actually just go back on his Twitter feed and you look at what happened during, say, but Black Lives Matter. I know BLM to me is one thing
Bureau
almost
Land
every time
Management.
exclusively, yes. But
When I first heard that, I was like, what does the BLM have anything to do with that?
I know.
And they're like, Black Lives Matter. I'm like, no, it's Bureau of Land Management.
I know.
If I was Bureau of Land Management, I would sue.
It should stand for
Just like the
bio-
WWF sued, like the World Wildlife Federation.
Yeah, they sued him, so they got to
sued
get
the
the F
World
out.
Wrestling Federation. That's why they're WWE now.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So if I was the Bureau of Land Management, I would have sued long time ago.
If I didn't have to deal with them and know how busy they are and not able to process my right of ways, I would say I agree with you. But I need them to just focus. Yeah.
It stands for buy lots of mansions.
Yes. There you That's funny. So yeah, like if you go back through the Twitter feed and everything and you see what he was saying at that time, like he was not pro law enforcement. He was defund police. And that's, whether you say something today like to get elected and then like what the policies are going to be, right? Yeah, and then open borders, not a good idea, especially when you think of the amount of drugs that are. I mean, it's a whole bunch of things, right? But like,
if he's running
the
on
drugs
economics,
come
open
over.
borders ain't good for economics.
Absolutely. And then like the open, all of the drug use that comes in, and then the homelessness that's fed more and more by the drug use and everything. I mean, it's not good policy.
So
at
basically,
all.
he wants to turn it into San Francisco.
Correct. Like, have you heard of Proposition 110
No.
up in Oregon? So this is the same kind of thing. Basically, they decriminalize the use of pretty much any of heroin, whatever.
Are
and
they
we
going
know
to
how
be
that
giving out
went.
free kits again?
They definitely were, yeah.
Yeah.
But the Democrats are actually in that state. They're rolling back Proposition 110, but he openly supported it, and he was like, "This is the reason why this is a great idea." And
Yeah,
it
they
didn't
use your
turn
tax
out
dollars
that
to give them hit
way.
kits, spoons, syringes, tie-offs.
But it's safer because they're not transmitting diseases to each other. I guess I don't know.
There's-
I don't understand.
there's no
the
logic
rationale.
in it.
Yeah.
It's cool. We're running out of time.
Are we really? Oh my goodness gracious.
Look in the camera and tell folks why they should go to the voting booth and vote for you, and any point of contact or any last minute messages you want to.
Okay, you got it. So my name is Lisa Cole. I am running for Assembly District 4. My website is lisacole4nevada.com. You can reach me by email at lisa@lisacole4nevada.com. You should vote for me because I am a common sense person. I am results oriented. I'm a problem solver. It's what I do. And I actually have a lot of really good experience for a legislator or future legislator. And so I will do really good things for the state, for our constituents. And I'm willing to work across the aisle with people. I'm a conservative by heart, right? But I'm also somebody who's a realist, and I want to be an effective legislator. So vote for me.
Well, Ms. Cole, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Frank, thank you for coming on the program.
Yes, thank you.
Folks, that's Lisa Cole. She's a Nevada Assembly District number 4 candidate. She's not on the primary ballot, but she is on the general ballot, and she's endorsed by all 4 veterans groups. So go down and vote for Lisa Cole, and during this general election, take her around and introduce her to your constituents, and if you have any type of meet and greets, invite her to it. This is Steve Sansa, Frank, Friends of Veterans in Politics. Until next time.